All right, I think it's recording. All right, hello everybody, happy Tuesday. As you can see, I am at home because I possibly caught COVID. I'm waiting for my test tomorrow. So I look a hot mess, so I'm sorry. I'm tired too. Sorry, guys. Anyway, all right, so today we are going to be starting our Hammurabi DBQ. And DBQ stands for document-based question. And what that means is there's going to be a question that we are going to have to answer. And the only way we can answer the question, sorry, I had to go murder the dog. Anyway, so the question that we are going to be trying to answer is, there was an ancient ruler in Mesopotamia called Hammurabi, and he was the first person to write down the most complete set of laws. There had been laws before, but they weren't necessarily written down, so people didn't know what to follow. So you could be arrested or punished for a crime that you didn't even know. You're like, I don't know there was a crime. So he was the first person to write down the most complete set of laws. So we're going to be looking at 7 documents, I believe, about the laws. And at the end, you're going to have to decide if you believe the laws were just or not. And just is another word for fair. So you're going to decide if the laws were fair or not. So I'm going to share. So first off, the packet you're going to need, it looks like this. It says hook exercise, was it justice? So let me pull it up on my computer. I'm going to pause for a minute while I pull it up. Okay, I'm back. I would like to say this is the first time I've done my hair since Friday, and I only did it because when I texted Miss Bella a picture earlier, she said I was looking a hot mess. So this is my only half a hot mess, still a hot mess though. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. Sorry, I'm having struggles here, guys. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. So again, we're going to be looking at Hammurabi's code, Was It Just? And we're going to be learning a little bit about Hammurabi today. And then tomorrow we're going to start looking at the documents. So this is actually Hammurabi. And this is one of the world's oldest set of laws written by Hammurabi, king of Babylon in the 18th century BCE. Hammurabi's code is often studied to understand the values of ancient Mesopotamia. So again, they're going to make laws about things that are important to them. If it's not important, you're not going to make a law. For example, in my house, there is a law that you don't touch my Diet Pepsi, or I will murder you. So obviously that is important to me. But there's not a law about the bread because I don't really care about bread, and I can't eat bread anyway, so I don't really care. The mini Q, which is the mini DBQ, explores the idea of fairness. What is just? Again, that means fair, by asking you to think about the punishments and rewards that make up Hammurabi's code. So we're actually going to be looking at 2 documents today. The first one is, oops, sorry, I need to go. All right, so we're looking at a hook. Let me see, I think I have a DBQ for it. So Hammurabi's code, Was It Just? Okay, we just read that. I forgot I had this. All right, so first we have a very awesome video for you to watch. You know how much I love my videos. Wicca, wicca. I almost forgot to close my email.
All right, give it up for group 2. All right, can I get group 3 up here, please? First written laws. First written laws. First written laws. First written laws. I wanna tell you what they did back in the day. People got together, making towns also cities. Acting kinda crazy, had to tell them that's not right. So government created laws on what's wrong and right. Whoa, 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 not written down, unknown to the town. Whoa, 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 not written down, unknown to the town. Can't read my, no, you can't read my code of law. Not until Hammurabi. Can't read my, no, you can't read my code of law. Not until Hammurabi. First written laws. First written laws. There was a guy from the town of Babylon. A good general with some skill conquered everyone. Wow. Became the leader, wanted to change his name or dream. He wanted to write down the law for everyone to see. Whoa, whoa, oh, oh, whoa. And write them down all throughout the town. Whoa, whoa, oh, oh, whoa. And written down all throughout the town. Can't read my, no, you can't read my code of law. Not until Hammurabi. Can't read my, no, you can't read my code of law. Not until Hammurabi. No. I won't tell you, I'll just show you. Right down in center of town. That's the crime, the punishment, but don't expect equal treatment. A set of laws for all to see. Deal with everything from a trade, loans, theft, murder, and don't forget injuries. Can't read my, now you can read my code of laws. There's a lot around you. Can't read my, now you can read my code of laws. There's a lot around you. Can't read my, now you can read my code of laws. There's a lot around you. Can't read my, now you can read my code of laws. There's a lot around you.
Okie dokie. I really like that song. So tomorrow for the Zoom, we are going to start, we're going to actually talk about this. And the question is there a difference between fair and equal? So we're going to look at 3 different aspects of each of these crimes. First, number 1, is the outcome fair for the accused? That's the person who's been accused of the crime. Number 2, is the outcome fair to the victim, who the crime happened to? And number 3, is the outcome good for the rest of the country? So case A is Eddie shoplifted a cell phone from Best Buy. He is 15, and this is his first offense, which means he's never done it before. He has to return the phone, and the police call his parents. There will be no criminal record. So you can take your notes on this paper I asked you to get out. You're going to look at 3, you're going to be judging it again. You're going to be writing down, is it fair to Eddie? Is it fair to Radio Shack? And I don't know if you know, Radio Shack is kind of like a Best Buy from like 10 years ago. They sell electronics. And then, is it fair to society? Is it in the best interest of society? So you could look at the fact that if Eddie was arrested, it would cost taxpayers money, things like that. All right, so that's the first case, case A. Then we look at case B. Again, we're going to be looking at the same things. Is it fair to the accused? Is it fair to the victim? And is it fair for the rest of the country? So case B, JD is caught shoplifting a cell phone from Best Buy. He is 19, and this is his third felony conviction, all for shoplifting. He is sentenced to 10 years in prison with no parole, and no parole means he's not allowed to get out early. He has to serve the entire 10 years. So again, you're gonna make notes on your paper. Is this fair to JD? Is it fair to Best Buy? Sorry, on the paper it says Radio Shack, but it's Best Buy. And then, is it in the best interest of society? And then if you want to do task 2, you can. It says pick one rule in your school, then just decide if it is just. So is it a fair rule or not? All right, and that's what we're going to work on for Zoom tomorrow. We're also, and here's if you want to do pick a school rule, then decide if it is just. Explain. Remember to answer the 3 questions in your explanation. So, a little background. Nearly 4,000 years ago, a man named Hammurabi became king of a small city-state called Babylon. Today, Babylon exists only as an archaeological site in central Iraq. Because remember, I told you, you can't like get on a plane or a bus and be like, sir, take me to Babylon or take me to Mesopotamia. They don't exist anymore. So they're just archaeological sites where archaeologists are trying to find artifacts to learn about this time. But when Hammurabi was alive, it was the capital of the kingdom of Babylonia. And Babylonia was one part of Mesopotamia. Okay, I'm gonna skip these because okay, so what you're gonna be working on today is you're going to be, this is the first page, and this is what we're gonna talk about in Zoom. And then the page behind it is called the background essay. And this is gonna give you enough background information that if you knew nothing about Hammurabi, which you probably don't, after you read this, you will have enough information to go on with the documents. So, as always, when we have this document, we are going to up in our triple R. And please, please tell me you remember what up in our triple R is, right? So we have, I hope this, we have the U stands for underline or highlight, title and any headers. So for me, there's only one title. So I'm going to highlight right here, Hammurabi's Code, was it just? Because hopefully when you highlight it, you will read it as well, which would be awesome. All right, underline or highlight. Next one, predict. So let's do our prediction together. We're going to do a small prediction. So I'm going to put my prediction, say, over here. And it says Hammurabi's Code, was it just? I noticed there's a map of Mesopotamia, the Empire of Mesopotamia. So I'm just going to say for my prediction, will tell facts and info about, we're going to say Hammurabi. That's what I'm going to say our prediction is. We can all use that same prediction. All right, next after predict, UPN, we're going to number paragraphs. So we're going to start up here. I'm going to move this down here. So let's start right here. We have number 1. We have number 2. We have number 3. Am I right? 1, 2, 3. And remember, we know it's a new paragraph because there's indenting. So this is number 4. So you're going to notice right here, it indents. Right here, it indents. This is where number 3 starts. Right here, it indents. So this is number 2. And then right here, it indents. So that's number 1. So we got number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and then here's number 5. This is going to be number 6, and I'll put my numbers in just a minute. 7, 8, and 9. So now let's put my numbers. Just going to copy this one. Okay, so then we have, this is number 5. 6. Number 7. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Number 7. Sammy just busted open the door, the doggy door, which was her way of saying she wants in. Put that there, and then this goes here. So we have number 9. All right, so there are 9 paragraphs. So when you do it on your paper, it's going to look like, let me do my paper, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's going to look like this. All right, so then after we number our paragraphs, we are going to read any extras. So read any extras. So for extra, there's going to be, we notice there's some bolded words. If we want to highlight those, hold on, sorry guys, I have to go let the dog. Seriously. All right, so read any extras. I don't know why I put an apostrophe. So example, we have some bolded words, which bolded words are words that are important that the author wants us to pay attention to. So I'm going to highlight those. We have city-state, Babylonia, Mesopotamia, cuneiform, stele. That looks like it. Also, there is a map in the middle, and it tells us, sorry, this is really bad highlighting. It's hard to do it with one hand. Sorry. It tells us, it's a little easier to see on your paper, that this is the empire. This map shows us the empire of Hammurabi around 1800 BCE, which would have been, what, 30, 20, like almost 4,000 years ago. So quite a long time. And then the last, our triple R's is read, read, read. So it's gonna be read, RRR is read, read, read. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do today. So the first read through, I am going to read. You are just going to be following along, taking notes on your paper, and then we'll go from there. All right, so I'm gonna start with paragraph number 1. Nearly 4,000 years ago, a man named Hammurabi became king of a small city-state called Babylon. And a city-state is a city, but it runs like a state. Each city had their own government officials. Some of them had their own laws. So like I said, they call it a city, but it's a city that runs like a state. Today, Babylon exists only as an archaeological site in central Iraq. But in Hammurabi's time, it was the capital of the kingdom of Babylonia. And Babylonia is, hold on, let me close out my email so those don't just pop it up. Come on, close window. There we go. So Babylonia. Okay, sorry, Babylonia is one of the kingdoms of Mesopotamia during that time. Okay, paragraph 2. We know little about Hammurabi's personal life. We don't know his birth date, how many wives and children he had, or how and when he died. We aren't even sure what he looked like. However, thanks to thousands of clay writing tablets that have been found by archaeologists, we know something about Hammurabi's military campaigns and his dealings with surrounding city-states. We also know quite a bit about everyday life in Babylonia. Paragraph 3. The tablets tell us that Hammurabi ruled for 42 years. For the first 30 of those years, Hammurabi's control was limited mostly to the city of Babylon. So for the first 30 years, he was just kind of focused in Babylon. He was doing his thing there. He was involved in what one historian called lots of squabbles with other small kings and other small city-states. And a squabble is like arguments, fights. So he's like, oh, hey, I'm going to fight with you, and I'm going to fight with you, I'm going to fight with you. So just little squabbles, not like huge wars. And some of them were no more than 50 miles away. This changed, however, With victories over Larsa in the south and Mari in the north, Hammurabi became the ruler of much of Mesopotamia. So apparently those battles, and you're going to notice on your map, Larsa is in the south. Larsa is right here. And what was the other one? Mari in the north. So once he got control of those, then he kind of gained control of all of Mesopotamia. Paragraph 4. Hammurabi was not starting with a blank slate. Beginning around 3500 BCE, the Sumerian people had developed Mesopotamia into the world's first civilization. By the time Hammurabi took power in 1792 BCE, cuneiform writing had already been around for 1,700 years. So it wasn't like he was like, oh, I have to start writing and oh, I have to do this. The civilization had already been around for a while, so he kind of had some help. Paragraph 5. Hammurabi would eventually rule over an estimated population of 1 million people. Most of his subjects were farmers. The people lived in city-states surrounded by fields and watered by irrigation canals that were fed by the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. So I don't know if you know this, but irrigation canals, what it is along the rivers, they'll build these canals, basically like ditches, and they'll put gates in front of the ditches between the rivers right here, and then this is the ditch. And when the river would fill and they wanted to water their land, they would lift up the gate, water would fill these irrigation canals, and then they could use those to water their fields and their crops and things like that. So it allowed them to have some control over how much water was going in their crops and things like that. And we're going to see a couple of the laws actually have to do with irrigation. So like if you opened up the gate and forgot to leave it on, forgot to close it, and you end up flooding your neighbor's field, not very happy about that. There's some laws about that. It'd be like if you go to take a shower or a bath and you just turn the water on and leave it on and flood the bathroom, mom's not going to be very happy. Kind of the same thing. All right. Paragraph 6. After his victories at Larsa and Mari, Hammurabi's thoughts gave way to thoughts of peace. These in turn gave way to the thoughts of justice. In the 38th year of his rule, Hammurabi had 282 laws carved on a large pillar-like stone called a stele. And what is a stele? Well, it tells you it's a large pillar-like stone. And it looks like, actually, we saw copies of this. It looks like, where did we see copies of the stele? There it is. Sorry, my bad. There it is. Oh, look, I even have it bigger. Look at Miss Morris. I didn't even know that. So that's a stele. That's what a stele looks at. So we're on paragraph 7, which little did I know. Hammurabi was not the first Mesopotamian ruler to put his laws into writing. Look, I can actually read it from the screen. But his code is the most complete. By studying his laws, historians have been able to get a good picture of many aspects of Babylonian society: work and family life, social structure. So again, we talked about that social pyramid, who was at the top, who was at the bottom, trade and government. For example, we know that there were 3 distinct social classes: landowners, free people who did not own land, and slaves. So I'm guessing the landowners, if we look back at that pyramid, we wrote the social pyramid, I'm sure. Obviously, the king's a landowner, high priest, government officials. But more at the bottom are not going to be landowners and slaves. The many farm and irrigation laws tell us that the Babylonians depended upon their crops for survival. The code also tells us of everyday problems like buildings collapsing, oxen getting loose. I hate it when my ox gets loose, don't you? And trampling fields, and neighbors squabbling, fighting, much like as they do today. Hammurabi tried to bring order and fairness to it all, which is nice. He didn't want to fight anymore. Okay, what follows are 5 documents that provide a sampling of Hammurabi's laws. Some students of Babylonia have found the laws overly harsh, like, whoa, dude, not fair, not fair. Others have found them to be quite balanced, given the hard realities of ancient life. So in this mini-Q, you are asked to consider justice on 3 levels: fairness to the accused, fairness to the victim, and fairness and security for society. So just like we were looking at JD and the soul and self. With this measuring stick in mind, read the documents and answer the question, Hammurabi's code, was it just? We're not starting that today. The only thing you're going to have to do today after this video is on the back of the question, or on the back of the essay, there is some questions and some words that you have to find the answers to. So yes, here it is. Look at Miss Morris. So just like if we're in class, not only do you need to answer the question, but you need to tell me which paragraph you found the answer in. And so number 1 says, how many centuries ago did Hammurabi live? And how long did he rule? 2 is from Larsa to Mari, what was the appropriate length of Babylonia from north to south? I will give you that answer because that's always a weird one and you need like a ruler. Can I find where I had it? I can, guys. So really quickly, hold on, let me go back, sorry. So the question is, oh, so it's about 420 miles. So for number 2, just put 420 miles. Number 3 is what was the estimated population of Babylonia? Number 4 is into what 3 social classes was the population divided? Number 5, in general terms, what is Hammurabi's code? So what is it? A set of laws written for the people of Babylonia, so something like that. And then number 6, describe these terms. You can look these up. Some of them you can get, like stele, it tells you what it is in the text. Cuneiform tells you what it is. Mesopotamia, we know what it is. Ancient, it was the first civilization. Babylonia, it tells you it's a kingdom in Mesopotamia. The only one you might have trouble on is city-state, and that's just going to be, you can say it's a city that exists like it's its own state. All right, and then down here is just some timeline dates. You don't really need to do anything with those except read them. Just kind of talks about when Mesopotamia started, which was about 3500 BCE, and when the Sumerians settled in southern Mesopotamia, to the event, the official end of the Mesopotamian civilization was, what is that, like 3,200 years later, and that's when Alexander the Great dies in Babylon, and that's kind of the end of Mesopotamia. So this is your assignment for today. We're going to move on tomorrow and talk about the rest, start the documents. Puppy. He's special, guys, and not in a good way. Anyway, so I will see you on, I'm going to stop sharing. Okay. Whew, looking rough, good Lord. My 9 o'clock Zoom will probably be a little weird because Tori's COVID test is at 9 and then mine is at 10:15. So I'm going to probably have to Zoom from the car when I'm driving her to her appointment. But then my other ones will be regular, I'll be at home. All right, so if you have any questions, comments, concerns, reach out, text me, team, email, whatever you need. I love you, I miss you, make good choices, be good people. I can't, I'm gonna murder that dog. Tell everyone I'm your favorite, even though I look a hot mess. All right, bye. Have to go murder that dog now. Lilo! Lilo! He listens well, doesn't he? Bye guys, love you, miss you.